What is up, IDP Army? It's your man Jordan Rains, and we are back again. You already know for another episode of the IDP Army podcast, where we're talking mostly IDP, all fantasy football. Today's show, we are going to cover the rankings. We are going to talk about my, semi chalky, but I mean, it's IDP and it's fantasy football. So, you got to differentiate where you can. I'll show you guys where that's going to be for me this week in my rankings. Go over my top 20 with you. If you want to see my full rankings, click down in the description below. Head over to the website. You can check out my full IDP rankings for this week. But let's go ahead and get cracking.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
All right, welcome in, guys and gals. Thank you for joining me today. If you're on the YouTube, we would appreciate you to subscribe and smash the like button. And then go down in the rankings. I'm very interested in where you all are ranking Zach Cunningham this week. I had a lot of trouble with him, really just kind of marrying what I've been seeing this year in the box score and on the field with what I came into the year expectation-wise. So I'm interested in where you guys have him ranked. You'll see where I have them ranked shortly. Go ahead and do that. If you're listening to the podcast, appreciate that. Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review and a rating on iTunes. If you listen to us there, we would super appreciate that. It would help the show. We're going to start with news today. And, we're just going to quickly break down some stuff here. We're not going to go super duper in depth and in detail. But I want to get you guys caught up on what's been going on this week. Looks like Jason Pierre-Paul is going to miss this week, week 3. He has a shoulder injury. That's been updated in the index. Speaking of which, if you are not on the Patreon, go join the Patreon and get in the Black Ops tier. You can get in the Ultimate IDP Index, which here, you want to know what the Ultimate IDP Index here? Let's let you listen to it real quick. What's good, IDP Army? It's Jordan Rains, and quickly, I want to tell you guys today about the big project I've been working on, the Ultimate IDP Index. The Ultimate IDP Index is the #1 resource for IDP fantasy football players, rookies or veteran for 2021. Inside, you're going to find contract information, tiered IDP rankings, detailed player production profiles going back to 2017, suggested trade values, and a whole lot more, including unique write-ups, unique videos that will only be available within the Ultimate IDP Index. But to me, probably the most valuable thing is the fact that the trade value estimation tool is going to be updated weekly, so you'll always be aware of what a player is worth in your Dynasty League at any given moment. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for the IDP Army Patreon today. Patreon.com/the IDP Army. Join the Black Ops tier and join the IDP Army today. Haven't plugged the index on the channel in a while. Wanted to do that. It's been really good to help track injuries this season. The injury tracker has been awesome. The snap count tracker has been awesome. We've added those. They've been super useful for me in my in-season research when I do this stuff. The reference page, I mean, the whole thing is just amazing. Anybody that's got it will tell you it's awesome. It's a great value for everything that we've put into it. So go check that out. But moving on with the news. By the time you're reading this, the Thursday night game is probably over, but Justin Reed and Cam McGruger-Hill are expected not to play tonight. Big IDP news, Jamie Collins is apparently being explored in trade options for the Detroit Lions. Kind of sucks because I expected him to have a good year there, but I think they're full rebuild mode right now, and that defense is just – they have weak linebackers anyway, and he's probably their best on paper linebacker. So if they can get anything for him as a 30-year-old linebacker, that's going to be good for that team. So I understand the move. I think his IDP relevance will go up wherever he lands. And there are definitely some teams that need linebackers, veteran linebackers. Other news, Keanu Neal was placed on the COVID list this week. Pardon me. So it's probably unlikely he's going to play this week. So keep an eye on that. We might see an uptick in snaps for Leighton Vander Esch. We already did see an uptick in snaps last week for Jalen Smith, with Micah Parsons playing more defensive end snaps. Micah Kaiser formerly of the Rams. Pratt was signed to the Broncos. I don't know. He's coming in to fill in for Josie Jewell, who was injured this last week and is out on IR as well. That's another bit of news. I don't really know what to make of the Mike Kaiser signing. I'm not running out to get him or anything like that. Bradley Chubb was placed on injured reserve. He had this ankle injury that he's been dealing with since before the season even started. It's bothered him so much that looks like he's going to miss at least 4 to 6 weeks, probably potentially more. So sucks. Had high hopes for him coming into the season. That's pretty much all the big news. Like I said, there are the other injuries we went over earlier this week on the waiver wire show. So you can probably go check those out there if you haven't checked that video out yet. Make sure you're going out and checking your waiver wires, guys and gals. You'll be surprised at some of the people you'll find out there. Even in deeper leagues, you'll find players in IDP. You just got to scroll pretty far, just scroll down on Sleeper and on MFL or anywhere. You can sort by points scored. That sometimes helps too. So be vigilant. It's still early in the season. People are panic selling, panic dropping certain players. And depending on how your league format is set up, you may or may not want to do that as well. If you have a better option, I understand, but don't go too crazy yet. I've had people ask me, should I drop Jabril Peppers? No, you should not drop Jabril Peppers. We went through this kind of last year with him. So just hold out one more week. People ask the same thing about Jeremy Chin. He plays tonight. I'm thinking he's going to have a good game, but we'll see. But anyway, all right, we'll go ahead and jump into the rankings here for you guys. Like I said, we're just going to do top 20 today for each position: linebacker, defensive line, and defensive backs. Not going to go into depth on everybody and the matchups on everything, but I'm going to highlight kind of who's coming up, who's coming down, and what I've been seeing. Sorry, I got something in my throat, guys. Sorry for that. All right, so number 1 for this week, we got Roquan Smith, Bobby Wagner, Darius Leonard, Devin White. 5 is Joe Schobert, Blake Martinez, Patrick Queen, Eric Kendricks, Levante David, and Deion Jones. Those are my top 10. If you are on the YouTube, which I advise you to be on, you can see this graphic I have here. 11 with Demario Davis, Zach Cunningham, CJ Mosley, Fred Warner, Jerome Baker, Eric Wilson, Isaiah Simmons, Myles Garrett, Shaq Thompson, and Tremaine Edmonds at 20. So that's my top 20 guys. Like I said, you're going to have some chalk up here at the top: Bobby Wagner, Roquan Smith, Darius Leonard, Devin White, all 4 elite guys. Darius Leonard, I know this year has not lived up to expectations because his tackles haven't been there. The impact plays have still been there. I think he has 3. I was looking today through 2 games. So that's 1.5 a game. That's pretty much par for the course for him. I think the tackles will come, so I'm not fading him too much. Devin White, similar situation. I was looking at some of his metrics today, and he has not rushed the passer quite as much as I thought. Hasn't lined up on the defensive line hardly at all this year. Levante David has. So I don't know if Levante David's maybe got some of those sacks coming that we saw for Devin White last year. Patrick Queen, Eric Kendricks, both I think are in the linebacker 1 conversation at this point. Patrick Queen is playing 100% of snaps. At least he did last week. That's a big upgrade from last year. And then Eric Kendricks, he's very efficient, but he just keeps being very efficient. So there's no reason not to like playing him. Levante David, Deion Jones, these guys are perennial, top 15 linebackers. So you know how to play them. So I asked at the start of the show, where would you guys be ranking, guys and gals, Zach Cunningham? I have him at 12 this week, sandwiched between Demario Davis and CJ Mosley. CJ Mosley making his way up here. Nothing prolific yet this season, but he did play 100% of the snaps, I believe, this last week, from what I recall looking at. And for a Jets team that needs help, he's probably going to be their best defender. So if there's any sort of upside there, it's him. So I've got him as a high-end linebacker 2 this week, and probably going forward for most of the rest of the season. Zach Cunningham, like I said, I've adjusted my expectations. He's now a low-end linebacker 1 for me. If I do have better options, which I hope I have better options, I'm trying to play them. Another guy I had trouble ranking this week was Jalen Smith. His snaps were back up. I think he played around the 70% mark. Let me double check in the index here. Thankfully, I have the index right in front of me, so I can easily take a peek at him. Jalen Smith played, 75% plus of the snaps this last week. That's up from less than 50%, 55% the week before. This is all really coming about because of DeMarcus Lawrence. He's the piece of the puzzle that got hurt. So now they've had to move Micah Parsons to the defensive end spot, which makes up room for Jalen Smith to get back out here. Now, I'm not really sure how much playing time he's going to get, so I couldn't squeeze him into my top 20 just because, again, top 20 guys I'm hoping, or I'm mostly putting guys I think are going to play 100%, 80+% of the snaps. And if we haven't seen Jalen Smith get there yet, I'm still a little tentative to put him up there. So where would you guys rank him this week, though? I'm interested. So we had Fred Warner, Jerome Baker at 15, and I really like Jerome Baker this week. He plays Las Vegas. I think he's going to have plenty of tackle opportunities over the middle, but I like that he still is rushing the passer quite a bit. He's lining up on the defensive line a lot, and he's always had high equity. He's always had high equity snaps on the field. His tackle floor is fairly well intact, and he's a good linebacker. He's a good linebacker for IDP. He's a good linebacker in the NFL. Mid-level linebacker too seems totally fair. And we haven't seen a pop yet. So I think there could be a little pop coming his way. Eric Wilson, Isaiah Simmons, Miles Jack rounding out 18, Shaq Thompson 19, and Tremaine Edmonds 20. Tremaine Edmonds, you guys know if you've watched this channel, if you've paid attention to anything about me this offseason, I've been a big champion of what Tremaine Edmonds could be. It still just doesn't seem like it's happening. So I was really hoping he could step into that low end linebacker one kind of area this year, and through 2 games, I'm not sure if we're going to get there. So something to monitor, something to watch. I'm still in on Tremaine Edmonds. I have had some questions about him. What do I do with him? I just cannot advocate getting rid of him yet. That's just kind of where I'm at. So if you want to look for someone else to put into your lineup, I'm okay with that if you're more confident that way, but he still is a solid linebacker, and we've seen him be productive, and he's still very young. So I think he's got some bounce back potential in the coming weeks. So if he's on your bench when that happens, you're going to just be even more bitter. So those are my top 20 linebackers. Let's move on to my top 20 defensive line players for this week. Now, again, remember, you can go check out my full rankings. Click the link below. Go check out Underdog for this week. The link below for there. Go play some daily fantasy on Underdog. We would appreciate that. Play with us. We have some good games going on over there. They support the show. But this week, like I said, the rankings are subject to change, but I'm starting out with DeForest Buckner this week. This is kind of a bold call, but I just really liked what I saw last week from Tennessee getting back to Derrick Henry. And I think that really bodes well for DeForest Buckner to get a lot of tackles. I think he's one of the defensive tackles who, people always talk about defensive tackles taking up space and eating up blocks. But DeForest Buckner, he attacks. He attacks the ball. He attacks the ball carrier. He attacks the passer. So I think there's a lot of upside here for Derrick Henry, both in the sack department and in the tackle department. So I'm planting my flag on him pretty high this week. Danielle Hunter at 2, Joey Bosa 3, Nick Bosa 4, Myles Garrett 5, Montez Sweat 6, Max Crosby 7, Cameron Hayward 8, Hassan Reddick 9, Brian Burns 10. Now, by the time you watch this, Brian Burns and Hassan Reddick will have already probably played, so I'll either look really smart or really stupid. Probably nowhere in between. So I just believe in both these guys. You guys have known that for a long time. I've never not been on Brian Burns, and since I started seeing Hassan Reddick really thrive in this new role as a pass rusher in the NFL, I've been on. And he has not let us down yet. I mean, he has yet to let you down, really. I know coming into the year, a lot of people were kind of down on him, but he has another opportunity to just continue being extremely productive for this young, and people are catching on to how good this Carolina defense is and how good it can be. I don't even think we've seen close to their ceiling, and they're already terrorizing people. Some people might not like that I have Myles Garrett so low, and that's fine. I'm so tired of trying to make Myles Garrett DL1 like a thing. He lets you down so much. I have him up here at 5. I don't even really like it. I'm just going to be honest. His tackle floor is just so abysmal. He hasn't done much this year. He's had, opportunities. So I don't know. I want the guys that I know are going to produce. Another thing you'll notice this week, Montez Sweat at 6, Chase Young's at 15. I'm tired of being forced, by being bullied into this by the media of believing that Chase Young is better than Montez Sweat. Maybe he is. But I know when push comes to shove, Montez Sweat, even last year, put up more points than him. And I'm just, until I see Chase Young and Myles Garrett kind of blow up the way Chandler Jones blows up, or be consistent the way TJ Watt is consistent, it's really, really hard for me to just keep forcing them into my top 5 and 6 every single week. So I'm not going to. I left Garrett at 5 because his consensus this week is 1. So I'm already probably the lowest person in the whole consensus pool on Fantasy Pros on him, which I'm fine being that guy. I got Chandler Jones at 11, TJ Watt at 12. Only reason TJ Watt is so low is because of the groin injury. He's still questionable. Kind of hedging that he's not going to play this week. I would rather he not play. If I'm just being completely honest, I'd rather he didn't play. I don't want him to go out and get hurt again. Just sit for a week, 2, 3. I don't care how many weeks. Sit till you are good, my guy. Melvin Ingram comes at 13. I do love this matchup, though, because they get Cincinnati. Joe Burrow's just been getting wrecked, and Melvin Ingram's looked really good. Cameron Hayward as well. I've already brought him up. Chase Young, I gave you my spiel about him. Shaq Barrett at 14, Chase Young 15, Chris Jones 16, Matt Judon 17, Jonathan Allen 18, Josh Allen 19, and Trey Hendrickson 20. Shaq Barrett, every week starter. Chase Young, like I gave you my thoughts. Like, it's just on paper, it's just for being as hyped up as he is, he just doesn't get it done. So he's at 15 for me this week. He's still going to probably be in your lineup, but there's a chance you got guys that you would rather be playing than him. If you're just being honest with yourself, and you have, so if you can take that risk, if you can stomach that, if you got the stones, think about it. Yeah, I want to highlight Josh Allen, his ascent back up to the top upper tier. He's just been really good this year. If you've watched the Jaguars play, I mean, he's probably the best defender on that team. We've always known he was talented. Last year was just such a dog crap year. We forget that the year before we had upwards of, I think, at 45 tackles. He led or he had like 9 or 10 sacks. I don't remember. It was quite a few. He had double-digit tackles for loss as well as a rookie. So he can get it done. I think he's in for a good year this year. And the Jacksonville Jaguars defense should be on the field plenty. And then Trey Hendrickson, pressures are there. He's got sacks coming his way. He hits Pittsburgh, not a super great matchup, but there's a chance Big Ben's a little banged up, and it would be a very Trey Hendrickson move to sack one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. So I put him in my top 20 this week. So let's move on to the defensive backs. 1 through 10, we got Jamal Adams, Budda Baker, Jesse Bates, Von Bell, Logan Ryan, Jordan Poyer, Harrison Smith, Derwin James, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Justin Simmons. 11 through 20, we got Tracy Walker, Jeremy Chin, Taylor Rapp, Antoine Winfield Jr., Chuck Clark, Jabril Peppers, Malcolm Jenkins, Kari Willis, Rashawn Jenkins, and then Deshaun Elliott. Of the people here, first and foremost, defensive back is very flat. I mean, any one of these guys could be 1, anyone could be 5. But yours are going to go with the side of the guys who are playing the high leverage snaps. That's always going to be Jamal Adams. He rushes the passer a ton. Logan Ryan is another guy who does that. We've already seen him have a defensive back 1 overall week this season. It would not shock me if we saw multiple Logan Ryan DB1 numero uno on the week. Weeks this season. So he's always going to be pretty high up there. Nobody's really falling. I would say Minkah. I'm a little higher on Minkah than I used to be from what I've been watching him play. He looks like he's getting a little more downhill when he is attacking the play for his tackles more, from what I've noticed. So I like that. And he's got a pretty good matchup this week with the Cincinnati Bengals, like I said. And I mean, Mr. Joe Burrow, the next, Peyton Manning or whatever. I don't know. Every one of these quarterbacks, every of these Devy guys tell me it's the next Jesus freaking Christ. And I mean, Trevor Lawrence is out here just looking like crap. And Joe Burrow, I mean, guy, what is he, 30 now? I mean, he's played a year in the NFL. He's falling apart. Jeez. No, I don't mean that, but I kind of do. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about everybody's quarterback evaluations. I feel like we get very caught up, almost drunk on the narratives of these guys. So anyway, circling back around to reality, wouldn't shock me at all if Minkah Fitzpatrick picked off Joe Burrow at least once this week. Wouldn't shock me a bit. 11 through 20, the guys I quickly want to talk about is, Jeremy Chin has faded down the list a little bit. He's now in at 12 instead of a high-end defensive back 1. It's kind of a hedge. I still believe in Jeremy Chin. I just think that this year things haven't fallen his way yet. That's just kind of how I want to phrase that. Antoine Winfield, similar situation, hasn't had a massive game yet. Jabril Peppers, shame on me for being out on him after a week. His snaps almost doubled in week 2 from week 1. Xavier McKinney took a nosedive. So Again, the thing I always say is the longest track record of success should always be your first indicator of who you should play. And Jabril Peppers has been good for 2 years now. Xavier McKinney had a good game, and it seems like when push came to shove, they put Peppers out there for more snaps this last week, and I'm sticking with him again. I want him in my lineups. We got Atlanta this week for the New York Giants, so I'm playing Jabril Peppers. And then Deshaun Elliott, really want to quickly want to touch on him. He isn't DB 20 this week. Had a concussion this last week. Had to leave the game. The thing I really liked about coming into the year, and I still like, is that John Harbaugh is very, Winklejohn or whatever the guy's name is, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. He gets pressure from all over the place, and that is the defensive backs too. So again, like I said, opening up the defensive back rankings, saying Jamal Adams plays the high leverage defensive back snaps that some guys don't get to play. You do get that more as well from the Ravens defensive backs, be it Chuck Clark, who is 15 this week, Deshaun Elliott, who is 20, again, has the concussion, so watch that. Be it even Marlon Humphrey or Tavon Young. They do scheme up more blitzes than I think it was last year. From all the data I saw, they schemed up the second most blitzes, which are pass rush attempts by anybody that's not on the defensive line, than any other team in the league. So, and they were bringing it from all over. So I like Deshaun Elliott. You're probably not going to see a lot of weeks with Deshaun Elliott and Chuck Clark left out of my top 20, top 25, just because they're always going to kind of have that upside that other defensive backs won't have. So, yeah, those are my top 20 linebackers, defensive line players, and defensive backs for the week. IDP Army, I appreciate you guys. We have the live stream coming up on Sunday. That'll be at 11 Eastern. Come drop in there. We'll answer any start-sit questions that you guys have for you. Well, leading into the week 3, we'll break down the news. We'll talk about injuries, who's in, who's out, etc. Those are always fun shows. Really have appreciated the support just in general. The comments have been really awesome. All the thumbs up, all the new subscribers. Really appreciate it, guys. The channel, if you're new, we've been around for about 3 years. We started out, we get 6, 7, 8 views a video for the first season, 10, 20, maybe if we were lucky. But some of the guys that started out with me, they've fallen off along the way. I just kept grinding and just kept working at it and just trying to make IDP something that is palatable and attainable and understandable to everybody, with the format that we talk about, with the players that we talk about. I don't want to overwhelm anybody with IDP knowledge. So, if you want more, we do have more. Join the Patreon, get in the Discord. Some of these guys that are in our Discord are some of these crazy deep dynasty leagues. You're talking true positions where you're playing multiple cornerbacks, defensive tackles. That's awesome. We have all that there too, but the stuff you're going to see mostly on the YouTube channel, and I'm kind of rambling right now, but I just wanted to, show some love and let you guys know that, I know you're out there, and I do see you and I appreciate you. But, IDP is growing. Don't let anybody tell you it's not. Tell all your league mates, tell them about the channel, tell them about IDP, get them into it, start putting pressure on your favorite DFS platform, because I think that a lot of them have told me they've worked on or looked at the infrastructure of IDP, getting it into their system. So, ultimately, the consumer decides, y'all. So, anyway, like I said, I'm rambling. I appreciate you guys. Come on to the Patreon. We would love that. If not, follow me on Twitter at 50 Shades of Drunk. Check out our TikTok. Check out the OP Boys on the podcast. Check out the Instagram. I'm trying to post more stuff on Instagram. If anybody out there wants to intern for us, help out, we're always looking for an extra set of hands to help with anything. The IDP Army is growing. So, if that sounds like you, hit me up. But until next time, y'all, I'll see you. Or actually, let me see. Last thing. Fades. Friday Fades. That show's coming out tomorrow. So I'm probably going to be back here recording that in the morning. Friday Fades. Thumbs up, like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. All right. Peace. Love.
Can you feel it? Thunder in paradise. Can you feel it?
let the rain hit the sand. Build a house on a rock, got a plan. Gotta get stocks, keep them bands. Hear the clock tick, blades on the fan. Used to be mundane on a Monday, now you have fun day on a Sunday. Cause you switching it up and you living it up, you ain't get it enough.